Hello everyone, welcome to Solowood's channel. Britain's immigration debate has taken a dramatic turn. Reform UK, once a fringe protest movement, is now pulling ahead of both Labour and the Conservatives. This rise matters because it doesn't just change who might govern, it changes the whole atmosphere in which policies are made. Migrants who come through legal routes, skilled workers hired by British employers, healthcare staff recruiting for the NHS, families reunited under the partner visa, and Hong Kongers on the BNO scheme find themselves caught in a shifting political wind. These are not people arriving in small boats or crossing borders illegally. They followed the rules, paid the fees, and built lives here. Yet the rules are not fixed. They are political choices, and those choices are now being pulled towards restriction. Tonight, we will take a careful look at each major party. Labour, Conservatives, Reform, the Liberal Democrats, the Greens, and the Nationalist parties in Scotland and Wales. We will focus on what their leaders have actually said and what their policies mean in practice, with special attention to Labour's proposal to double the settlement period from 5 years to 10. Labour, as the party in power, has already made sweeping changes. Its May 2025 white paper announced a reset of migration policy. The skilled worker route was tightened with a salary threshold raised to £41,700 and a higher skills bar, removing over 100 mid-level roles from eligibility. At the same time, new overseas recruitment of social care workers was closed, though those who are already in Britain can extend. Ministers argue this prevents abuse and encourages employers to train local staff. But care providers warn of severe shortages, with hospitals unable to discharge patients for lack of carers. On the family migration, Labour froze the income requirement at £29,000, holding the Conservative plan to raise it in stages to nearly £39,000. The freeze has offered relief to many couples and families, but the policy remains under review and could change again. Most controversially, Labour proposes to extend the qualifying period for indefinite leave to remain from 5 years to 10. On paper, this is described as earned settlement. In reality, it doubles the fees, surcharges, and uncertainty faced by almost every migrant family. Worse still, the white paper leaves open the possibility that it could apply retrospectively, meaning those who arrived in 2021 or 2022 on the promise of a 5-year path could be forced to wait until 2031. This has provoked petitions, rallies, and a Westminster Hall debate in September, where MPs across parties question whether such a change would be fair. For migrants already here, it feels like the finish line is being moved halfway through the race. The Conservatives, now in opposition, argue Labour's policies do not go far enough. Their record in government was already restrictive. They created the post-Brexit points-based system, raised threshold over time, and announced a steep rise in the family income rule before the 2024 election. Yet they also launched the BNO route in 2021, which many Hong Kongers see as a vital lifeline. Since leaving office, senior Conservatives have doubled down on calls to reduce net migration dramatically and to extend settlement timelines for most migrants. But here is the important nuance. Conservative spokespersons have stated explicitly that BNO visa holders will be exempt from the move to a 10-year ILR. In other words, the 5+1 pathway for BNO would remain. That distinction sets them apart from Labour's current ambiguity. Beyond that carve-out, however, the direction mirrors Labour's and often goes further, pushing for higher salary thresholds, tighter controls on dependents, and longer waits before permanence. For skilled workers and families close to the income threshold, the Conservative path still means higher barriers. The emphasis is clear: fewer visas overall, restricted to high-earning professionals, and settlement delayed. Reform UK is now shaping the debate more than anyone else. Its 2024 contract review pledges to freeze non-essential immigration, allowing only a narrow list of exemptions, mainly in healthcare. That means reform does not oppose every health visa outright, but only wants limited recruitment of essential medical and care staff. For everything else, family visas, students with dependents, mid-skilled workers, the door would effectively close. Reform frames migration not as a matter of economies or fairness, but as a cultural and sovereignty issue. Its leaders say they will leave international frameworks if needed to enforce their policies. Polls consistently praise reform at or above 30%, sometimes ahead of Labour and Conservatives. That success already drags other parties towards harsher positions, because neither Labour nor the Conservatives want to look soft. For legal migrants, this matters even if reform never enters government. The rise of a freeze-first agenda shifts the political center of gravity. Policies that once seemed moderate, like freezing the family income rule at £29,000, now look generous in a climate defined by calls to shut the door. For those who followed the rules and expected stability, reform's surge shows that legality alone does not guarantee welcome. There is, however, a contrasting vision from smaller parties. The Liberal Democrats advocate a predictable, rules-based but humane system. They want lower visa fees, quicker processing, and easier family reunion. They oppose Labour's plan to extend ILR to 10 years, arguing for shorter and clearer rules to permanence. The Greens go further, pledging to scrap the 10-year rule entirely and no recourse to public funds, and treat migrants as full members of society sooner. The SNP and Plaid Cameron, while not holding immigration powers, argue for a devolved system tailored to Scotland's demographic needs and Wales' labour market. These parties frame migration as an asset, not a burden. Their stance is especially clear in healthcare. Labour has ended new recruitment of care workers from abroad. Conservatives argue for tighter control still, and reform wants a freeze with only limited health exceptions. By contrast, the Lib Dems and Greens want British risk losing staff to Canada, Australia, or Germany unless it remains competitive. On the BNO route, Labour's ambiguity about ILR creates unease. Conservatives promise protection from the extension, and Lib Dems and Greens argue humanitarian pathways must never be undermined. So, where does this leave migrants trying to plan their life in Britain? Labour has already raised barriers for skilled workers, closed overseas care recruitment, paused family thresholds, and settled a 10-year ILR model that could be retrospective. Conservatives push for stricter controls in most areas, but promise that BNO families will not be forced onto the 10-year track. Reform, now leading the polls, pledges to freeze nearly all migration, with only narrowly defined healthcare roles exempt. On the other side, the Liberal Democrats and Greens call for lower costs, faster settlement, and more openness, while the SNP and Plaid seek regional flexibility. Each party is making deliberate choices about the role of migration in Britain's future. With reform rising to the top of the polls, the national center of gravity is moving towards restriction, and how far it moves will affect everyone. Whether you are a skilled worker renewing visas, a spouse counting your income, or a BNO family wondering if Britain's promises will be kept, understanding this landscape is crucial because today's political climate is tomorrow's immigration rulebook. If you found this breakdown useful, please like, subscribe, and share so that more people can see how UK politics is shaping the lives of regular migrants.